The first time I saw her hand on my husband's arm, I didn't say a word. Not because I didn't notice. Because my whole body went still, like the air had thickened, like someone had turned the volume down on the room and left only the sound of my own heartbeat. We were in my mother-in-law's kitchen, the kind with warm yellow light and a kettle that always whistled too loudly. The smell of fried onions clung to the curtains. My husband, Malik, stood by the sink drying dishes, sleeves rolled up, water shining on his forearms. And there was Nyla, my sister-in-law, standing too close, laughing softly, fingers resting where they didn't belong. It was quick. A touch, then gone. But it stayed with me. Because it wasn't the first time she'd looked at him like that. And it wasn't the last. That night, when Malik and I drove home, the car felt smaller than usual. The road lights flickered over his face, calm, familiar, the face I'd trusted for 8 years. He talked about work. About a coworker who kept forgetting deadlines. About the new pothole near the market. I nodded. I answered at the right moments. But inside, a quiet alarm had started ringing. By the time we reached our apartment, my hands were cold. I didn't want to accuse him without reason. I didn't want to become the kind of woman who sees a threat in every smile, every shared joke. Yet something in me, the part that knows when milk has turned sour even before you smell it, kept whispering. That wasn't normal. And I learned, slowly and painfully, that when a woman's intuition speaks like that, it's not trying to ruin her peace. It's trying to protect her. Before all of this, my life had been ordinary in the best way. I'm the kind of woman who takes comfort in routines. Morning tea with cardamom. Folding laundry while a cooking show plays in the background. The soft click of the balcony door at dusk when the air cools and the city gets quieter. Malik and I weren't perfect, but we were steady. He worked in logistics for a local company, long hours, a lot of phone calls, the kind of job that followed him home in the form of stress lines around his eyes. I worked part-time at a small clinic's front desk. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable, and I liked the feeling of being useful. We didn't have children yet, not for lack of trying, but because life has its own timing. That was a tender place in our marriage, one we touched carefully. Some months I would get hopeful, then disappointed, and I'd sit on the bathroom floor holding the test and staring at the tiles until Malik knocked softly and asked, "You okay in there?" He was kind about it. Always kind. He'd bring me mangoes when they were in season. He'd rub my shoulders without being asked. He'd stand beside me at family gatherings like a quiet anchor. That's why this whole thing felt like a bad dream. Because betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives wearing a smile and calling you APA. Nyla had been in our lives for a long time. Malik's younger sister, 3 years younger than him, but somehow she always acted like the world owed her something. She was pretty in the way people notice right away. Sharp eyes, glossy hair, a laugh that carried. And she had a habit of making herself the center of any room without looking like she was trying. She lived with my mother-in-law after Malik's father passed. No job that lasted. Always planning something, always figuring it out. And my mother-in-law, grieving and tired, enabled her without meaning to. At first, I tried to be the supportive sister-in-law. I'd bring food when we visited. I'd buy her small gifts, scarves, bangles, perfumes that were on sale. I'd invite her to come stay with us for weekends, thinking it might help her feel less stuck. Sometimes she was sweet. She'd sit cross-legged on my living room rug, eating snacks and telling stories, calling me best friend. Other times, she'd make small comments that landed like splinters. "You're lucky Malik listens to you," she'd say, looking at him when she said it, not me. Or, if I had a husband like Malik, I would never let him out of my sight. She'd laugh after those lines, like she was joking. And I would laugh too. Because women are trained to laugh when we're uncomfortable. To smooth things over. To pretend our instincts are overreactions. But then the little clues started stacking up, one by one, like dishes left unwashed. Easy to ignore at first. Impossible later. It began with how she called him. Not in the regular sibling way, quick, casual, about groceries or bills. She'd call late at night. Once, it was nearly midnight. Malik's phone buzzed on the coffee table while he was brushing his teeth. I glanced down and saw her name. Nyla. I didn't pick it up. I wasn't that kind of wife. But when Malik came out and saw the missed call, he frowned, then called her back. I watched him, trying to act normal, but the tone of his voice was softer than usual. Nyla? Everything okay? A pause. Then, no, don't cry. What happened? He walked into the kitchen while talking, like he needed privacy. That should have been my first warning. Because a sister can be upset, sure. But if she always needs your husband to be her comfort, where does that leave you? When he came back, I asked gently, is she okay? He hesitated, and for the smallest second, his eyes didn't meet mine. She was just stressed, he said. Mom and her argued. I nodded, but my stomach tightened. That week, she started showing up more often, dropping by unannounced, calling Malik to fix small things, her phone settings, her fan, her TV remote. Once, we were at my mother-in-law's house for lunch. I was helping in the kitchen, stirring lentils while my mother-in-law chopped vegetables. The ceiling fan creaked overhead, slow and tired. From the living room, I heard Nyla's voice, bright and playful. Bye, come here. You're the only one who can do this. Then Malik's voice amused. Move. Let me see. I dried my hands on my scarf and stepped toward the doorway. And that's when I saw it. Nyla sitting on the couch, phone in hand, her body angled toward Malik like she was leaning into sunlight. Malik stood too close, looking down at the screen. And Nyla's fingers, those long polished nails, rested on his wrist like it was the most natural thing in the world. When she noticed me, she didn't move her hand right away. She looked at me and smiled. A slow smile. Like she wanted me to see. I walked back into the kitchen without a word. I kept stirring the lentils until they thickened. The spoon clinked against the pot, steady, steady, steady. My mother-in-law didn't notice anything. She was talking about prices at the market, about how everything had become expensive, about how she missed her husband. I nodded and made the right noises. But inside, something was shifting. That night, when Malik fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The room smelled faintly of his deodorant and the detergent I used on our sheets. I asked myself all the questions women ask when they feel something wrong but don't have proof. Am I imagining it? Is she just affectionate? Would Malik ever cross that line? And the worst question of all, if he did, would I even survive it? In the morning, I made breakfast like normal. Fried eggs, toast, tea. Malik kissed my forehead as he grabbed his keys. You okay? He asked, like he sensed the distance behind my smile. I'm fine, I said. But my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. Because the truth was, I wasn't fine. Not anymore. And I didn't know yet that the next clue wouldn't be a touch or a late-night call. It would be a message, not meant for me. The message came on a Tuesday afternoon, quiet, ordinary, the kind of day where nothing is supposed to happen. I was at the clinic, sorting patient files, the air smelling faintly of antiseptic and old paper. The receptionist's desk phone kept ringing, and I kept answering with the same polite voice I'd practiced for years. Good afternoon, yes, one moment. Please have a seat. The doctor will see you soon. By lunchtime, my feet hurt. My head felt heavy. I was looking forward to going home, changing into my soft house clothes, and letting the day drop off my shoulders. Then my phone buzzed. A WhatsApp notification. From Nyla. At first, my heart lifted a little because I thought, maybe she's finally texting me. Maybe she needs something normal. Maybe I've been unfair. I opened it, and the words stared back at me like a stranger's face in your mirror. Nyla, I couldn't stop thinking about last night. Your hands, you don't even know what you do to me. My breath caught so sharply I almost made a sound out loud. For a second, I didn't understand. My mind tried to correct it, tried to fit it into something harmless. Maybe she meant someone else. Maybe she typed the wrong name. Maybe another message came. Nyla, next time don't act like you're just my brother. I'm not made of stone. I felt my fingers go numb around the phone. The clinic sounds faded, ringing phone, murmurs, footsteps, like someone had pushed me underwater. My mouth went dry. My eyes blurred for a moment, not from tears, but from the shock of my body trying to protect itself. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't playful joking. This was a confession. And she had sent it to me. Not him. Me. I stared at the screen, waiting for the delete for everyone that never came. Waiting for her to follow with, "OMG, sorry, wrong chat." But nothing. Just those words. Sitting there like poison. I locked my phone and placed it face down on the desk, as if it could burn through the surface. My chest felt tight. My heartbeat pounded so loud I wondered if patience could hear it. I forced myself to keep working for another hour. I don't even know how. My body moved on autopilot, stamping papers, calling names, pointing people toward the waiting area. But my mind was no longer in that clinic. It was in my living room, in my husband's hands, in the space between what I believed and what might be true. When my shift ended, the sun was already softening in the sky. I walked home slowly, like my feet were made of concrete. Every step felt like I was moving deeper into something I couldn't escape. At the apartment, I unlocked the door and stepped into silence. Our home smelled like the air freshener Malik liked, fresh linen, clean, comforting. The couch cushions still held the shape from where I'd sat in the morning. The kitchen counter had the water bottle I'd forgotten to wash. Everything looked normal. And that's what made it worse. Because betrayal rarely announces itself. It hides inside normal life and waits for you to discover it. I went into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and opened the message again. This time I read it slower, letting every word land. "Your hands. Next time." That meant there had already been a last time. My throat tightened. I didn't cry yet. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling something in me harden and crack at the same time. When Malik came home an hour later, he looked tired. His tie was loosened, his hair slightly messy. He kissed my cheek like he always did. "Hey." "Long day," he said, dropping his keys into the bowl by the door. I watched him, searching his face the way you search a room for something you lost. Was there guilt? Was there fear? Was there anything? But Malik just went to wash his hands, humming softly, like the world was still safe. I followed him into the kitchen. "Malik," I said. He turned, water dripping from his fingers. My voice came out calm, almost too calm. "Did you talk to Nyla last night?" His eyebrows lifted slightly. "She called, yeah. About Mom." "Why?" I looked at him for a long second. The truth was right there on my tongue, but I swallowed it back. Not because I was afraid, but because I needed to be smart. If I showed my cards too soon, they'd start lying before I even knew the full story. So I nodded. "Nothing. Just wondering." He didn't look relieved. He didn't look nervous. He just shrugged and opened the fridge. And that's when my stomach sank even deeper. Because either he was innocent, or he was very good at pretending. That night, I did something I never thought I would do. I looked through my husband's phone. I'm not proud of it. I still remember the way my hands trembled as I lifted his phone from the bedside table. The screen glowed dimly in the dark. Malik was asleep beside me, breathing slow and even, one arm thrown above his head like a man without a care. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would wake him. I knew his passcode. We never hid those things. We had always said no secrets. I entered it, and the first thing I saw was their chat thread. Nyla and Malik. My throat tightened. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Messages about their mother, about groceries, about a cousin's wedding. Then I scrolled, and there it was. Little things that didn't belong between siblings. Nyla, you looked so good today. That shirt suits you. Malik, stop. Don't start. Nyla, why? It's true. I notice things. Another day. Nyla, I wish I could talk to you without her always around. Malik, be careful. She'll misunderstand. Nyla, maybe I want her to. My hands started shaking harder. It wasn't full-blown explicit, but it was intimate. Suggestive. Like a door left open just enough for something to slip through. And Malik, he wasn't stopping it. He wasn't shutting it down. He was warning her to hide it. Be careful. Not don't. Not, you're my sister. Just, be careful. I felt nausea rise in my throat. Then I saw a voice note from Nyla 2 minutes long. I didn't play it. I couldn't. Because my heart already knew what my ears didn't need to hear. I put the phone down slowly, like it was something sharp. Then I lay back, staring into the darkness, listening to Malik's breathing. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I didn't know the man beside me. The next morning, Malik left for work like normal. He drank his tea. He asked if I wanted him to pick up anything on the way home. I said no. I watched the door close behind him. And then I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared meals and laughter and plans for a future. I opened my phone and stared at Nyla's message again. This time, I didn't feel confusion. I felt something clearer. Decision. Because the thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just break your heart. It tests your dignity. And I wasn't going to lose mine quietly. Not to her. Not to him. Not to anyone. But I still needed one thing before I moved. Proof. Clean, undeniable proof. And I knew exactly how to get it. I didn't confront either of them right away. That surprised even me. If you'd asked the woman I used to be before betrayal rewires you, I would have said I'd explode, scream, throw the phone across the room. I would have demanded answers until someone broke down. But shock does strange things to a person. It quiets you. It sharpens you. And it teaches you that sometimes the strongest move is to wait. For 3 days, I acted like nothing had changed. I went to work. I smiled at patients. I cooked dinner. I asked Malik how his day was and listened like I always had. I laughed in the right places. I even reached for his hand once while we watched television, just to see if my touch still felt the same to him. It didn't. Not because he pulled away, but because I did. Inside. I was watching everything now. The way he angled his phone away when it buzzed. The way he stepped onto the balcony to take certain calls. The way his voice softened when he mentioned Nyla's name, just slightly, like a habit he didn't know he had. On the second evening, my mother-in-law called. Nyla's been upset, she said, her voice tired. She says she feels alone. Maybe you could come over this weekend, talk to her woman to woman. I closed my eyes slowly. Of course, I said. I'll come. Malik looked up from the couch when I hung up. Everything okay? Yes, I said. She just needs family. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. That night, when Malik fell asleep, I didn't touch his phone. I didn't need to anymore. Because the proof I wanted wasn't just messages. It was intention. And intention always reveals itself when you give it room. On Saturday afternoon, I went to my mother-in-law's house alone. Malik said he had work, which felt convenient. Nyla opened the door wearing a soft blue dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was styled, her lips glossy. She smiled too brightly when she saw me. Appa, she said, pulling me into a hug that felt rehearsed. I'm so glad you came. Her room smelled like perfume, sweet, heavy, lingering. We sat on her bed, legs folded. She talked about feeling stuck, about how men never noticed her for who she really was, about how lonely she felt living in her brother's shadow. I listened. I nodded. And then, carefully, I said, you know Malik worries about you a lot. Her eyes flicked up. He does. Yes, I said gently. Sometimes I think he worries too much. She smiled then. Not shy. Not embarrassed. Pleased. He's always been protective, she said. Even when we were kids. I let a silence stretch between us. The ceiling fan hummed softly. Somewhere in the house, a radio played an old song. Then I said, very casually, did you mean to message me the other day? Her smile froze. Just for a second. Then she laughed, a quick, breathy sound. What message? The lie was instant. Effortless. I reached for my phone and placed it between us on the bed. I opened the chat and turned the screen toward her. This one. She stared at it. Her face drained of color. The room went quiet. For a moment, I thought she might apologize. Cry. Say it was a mistake. Say she'd crossed a line she didn't mean to. But then she did something else. She straightened her back. And she looked at me like I was the problem. I didn't think you'd see it like that, she said slowly. Like what? I asked. Like betrayal, she replied. It's not like Malik did anything. I felt something cold settle in my chest. So you admit you sent it? She shrugged. I was emotional. About my husband. About a man who listens to me, she said. Who understands me. You don't own him, you know. There it was. Not guilt. Entitlement. I took a deep breath. My hands were steady, even though my heart felt like it was splitting open. "He's your brother," I said quietly. "And you're just his wife," she shot back. "Wives come and go." The words landed like a slap. In that moment, I understood something important. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a lonely woman crossing a line. This was someone who had already decided I was in her way. I stood up. "I think I should go," I said. She didn't stop me. She didn't apologize. She just watched me walk out like she was already imagining a future where I wasn't there. On the way home, my phone rang. "Malik." I answered. "Hey," he said. "You okay?" "Yes," I said. "I just spoke to your sister." A pause. "What did she say?" I pictured him, wherever he was, tense now alert. "She told me everything," I said. Another pause. Then, quietly, "I didn't mean for this to happen." I laughed once. A short, humorless sound. That's what people say when something has already happened. He didn't argue. That told me enough. We met that evening at home, the apartment thick with unspoken words. Malik stood near the window, hands in his pockets, avoiding my eyes. "I never touched her," he said. "Not like that." "But you let her touch you," I replied. He swallowed. "I didn't know how to stop it." "You didn't try." Silence. I could hear the refrigerator hum, the clock ticking on the wall. "I need time," I said. "And I need the truth." He nodded. "Okay." That night, he slept on the couch. And I lay awake, not crying, not shaking, just thinking. About dignity. About boundaries. About how love, once cracked, never goes back to the same shape. The next morning, I made my plan. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Because if Nyla wanted to take what wasn't hers, I was going to make sure everyone saw exactly who she was. And who I was not. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw accusations around like broken glass. Instead, I did something far more dangerous. I became very, very calm. For the first time since all of this began, my emotions stopped pulling me in different directions. Grief was still there. Anger too. But they stepped aside for something steadier: resolve. Because when betrayal comes from inside your family, screaming only feeds it. Truth starves it. I told Malik we needed to talk, but not yet. I told him I needed space to think, and for once, he didn't argue. He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him, like a man who'd finally realized the cost of his silence. I spent that day doing things that grounded me. I cleaned the apartment slowly, methodically. I folded clothes that didn't need folding. I wiped already clean counters. I let my body move while my mind lined things up. Then I sat at the table and opened my laptop. I didn't need to dig for evidence anymore. I already had enough. Messages. Confessions. His hesitation. Her arrogance. What I needed now was timing. That evening, my mother-in-law called again. Her voice was gentle, worried. "Nyla says you were upset," she said. "Did something happen?" I paused. This was the moment. "Amma," I said softly, "can we talk tomorrow?" "Properly. All of us." She hesitated. "Is Malik okay?" "He will be," I said. "But I think it's time we stop pretending everything is fine." Another pause. Then, "All right," she said. "Come tomorrow evening." I hung up and stared at the wall for a long time. My hands shook then, not from fear, but from the weight of what was coming. Family truth has a way of tearing through generations. Once spoken, it can't be taken back. That night, Malik didn't sleep at all. I could hear him shifting on the couch, the sound of springs creaking under his restless body. At one point, near dawn, he stood in the doorway of the bedroom. "I never meant to hurt you," he said quietly. I didn't turn around. "I know," I replied. "That doesn't change what you allowed." He stood there a moment longer, then left. The next evening, we drove to my mother-in-law's house together. The car ride was silent. The city passed by in fragments, shops closing, streetlights blinking on, people living their ordinary lives. I wondered how many of them were hiding something. When we arrived, the house felt heavier than usual. Nyla was there, of course. She sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, looking bored. When she saw me, her eyes narrowed just slightly. Malik's mother brought tea into the living room. The cups clinked against the tray. Steam rose between us like a fragile barrier. "So," my mother-in-law said gently, "what's going on?" I set my phone on the table. I didn't speak right away. I looked at Nyla, then at Malik, then back at my mother-in-law. And then I said, "Your daughter has feelings for my husband." The room went silent. Nyla laughed. "Appa, what kind of joke is that?" I ignored her. "She has sent him messages. Intimate messages. And she sent one to me by mistake." My mother-in-law's hand trembled slightly as she set her teacup down. Nyla's face hardened. "She's exaggerating." I unlocked my phone and slid it across the table. "Read them," I said. Nyla didn't move. Malik's mother picked up the phone instead. I watched her face as she read. Her mouth tightened. Her eyes darkened. She scrolled and scrolled. Then she looked up at her daughter, not me. "What is this?" she asked. Nyla stood abruptly. "You're all acting like he's innocent." He encouraged it. Malik spoke then, his voice hoarse. "I should have stopped it. I didn't. That's on me." That admission broke something. My mother-in-law pressed her hand to her chest. "This is how you repay your brother?" she asked Nyla. "This is how you repay me?" Tears filled Nyla's eyes, not from shame, but from being exposed. "You always favored him," she cried. "He always got everything." "That doesn't give you the right to cross this line," her mother said firmly. For the first time, Nyla looked small. And for the first time, I felt something shift, not satisfaction, but relief. Because the truth was no longer mine alone. It belonged to the room. My mother-in-law turned to me. Her eyes were wet. "I am so sorry," she said. "I didn't see it." I nodded. "I know." I stood up then. "I'm not here to destroy this family," I said. "But I won't protect a lie." I looked at Malik. "You need to decide what kind of man you are." Then I looked at Nyla. "And you need to learn that wanting something doesn't make it yours." I walked out before anyone could respond. The air outside felt cooler, cleaner. I breathed deeply, like I'd been underwater and finally surfaced. That night, Malik didn't come home. He stayed at his mother's house. And I slept alone, not with sadness, but with clarity. Because revenge isn't always about punishment. Sometimes, it's about refusing to carry someone else's shame. The days after that evening moved slowly, like time had thickened. I didn't call Malik. He didn't call me either. At first, the silence felt sharp, like walking barefoot on gravel. Every sound in the apartment seemed louder without him. The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the bedroom door, the distant noise of traffic drifting in through the window at night. But after a while, the silence softened. It became space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to feel what I'd been pushing down for weeks. I went to work like usual. I answered phones. I smiled at patients. I lived my life on the surface while something deeper inside me was rearranging itself. On the third day, my mother-in-law came to see me. She didn't call first. She just showed up, standing at my door with a small bag of fruit in her hand, her shoulders slumped in a way I'd never seen before. "I hope it's okay I came," she said. "Of course," I replied, stepping aside. She sat at the dining table, hands folded tightly in her lap. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she sighed a long, tired sound that carried years of motherhood with it. "I raised them both," she said quietly. "I never thought I'd see something like this." I poured her tea and set the cup in front of her. "Neither did I said. She nodded slowly. "Nyla has been crying. Angry. Saying everyone is against her. And what do you think?" I asked gently. She looked at me then, really looked at me. "I think she crossed a line she cannot uncross." Her words settled between us. "I've asked her to move out," she continued. "At least for now. She's staying with an aunt." I felt a strange mix of emotions, sadness, relief, and something like closure. "That must have been hard," I said. She shook her head. "What's hard is realizing you missed the truth while it was happening." She reached across the table and held my hand. Her grip was warm, steady. "You didn't deserve this," she said. "And I don't expect you to forgive anyone quickly. Or at all." Something in my chest loosened. "Thank you," I whispered. When she left, the apartment felt lighter. Later that evening, Malik finally called. I stared at his name on the screen for a long moment before answering. "Hello," I said. "I'm coming home," he said quietly. "If that's okay." I closed my eyes. We need to talk. I know. He arrived an hour later. He looked exhausted, eyes shadowed, shoulders slumped. He stood in the living room like a guest in his own home. I told her it was over, he said before I could speak. That whatever she thought was happening, it wasn't going to continue. And did she listen? I asked. He shook his head. Not at first. But I was clear. I studied him. Why didn't you stop it sooner? I asked. He swallowed. Because I didn't want to cause problems. I thought if I ignored it, it would fade. And instead, I said, and instead I hurt you. The words hung in the air. I don't know what happens next, he said. But I know I don't want to lose you. I believed he meant it. But belief wasn't enough anymore. I need time, I said. Not to punish you. To understand if I can trust you again. He nodded. I'll wait. We didn't touch that night. He slept on the couch again. And for the first time, I wasn't angry about it. Weeks passed. Malik started therapy on his own. He stopped answering Nyla's calls completely. He rebuilt boundaries, not with words, but with action. And slowly, carefully, I let myself watch. Trust doesn't come back all at once. It comes in fragments. A truthful answer. A phone left face up. A conversation that doesn't avoid the hard parts. Some nights, I cried quietly in the shower where no one could hear me. Other nights, I felt strong enough to imagine a future again. As for Nyla, I didn't see her. I heard about her through family whispers. How she blamed everyone but herself. How she said I overreacted. And that was fine, because I no longer needed her understanding. One evening, months later, Malik and I sat on the balcony, watching the city lights blink on. The air was cool. Somewhere nearby, someone was cooking, the smell of spices drifting upward. I know I can't erase what happened, he said. But I want to spend the rest of my life proving I learned from it. I looked at him. I'm not the same woman I was before, I said. And I won't pretend to be. I know, he replied. And I love who you are now. That surprised me. Because I loved her too. The woman who spoke up. The woman who didn't stay silent. The woman who chose dignity over denial. Some people call what I did revenge. I don't. I call it self-respect. Because the most powerful thing I did wasn't exposing her. It was refusing to disappear to make others comfortable. And sometimes, that changes everything. Sometimes, when the house is quiet and the lights are low, I sit with a cup of tea and think about how close I came to losing myself. Not my marriage. Not my family. Myself. Betrayal has a way of shrinking a woman if she lets it. It tells her to stay quiet, to keep the peace, to accept what hurts her because family is family. For a long time, I thought strength meant endurance. Now I know better. Strength is knowing when to speak. Strength is knowing when silence becomes self-betrayal. What my sister-in-law did broke something in me, but it also built something new. It taught me that love without boundaries is not love. That loyalty must be protected, not assumed. And that dignity is not something anyone can take from you unless you hand it over. Malik and I are still healing. Healing is not a straight line, it bends, pauses, and sometimes aches without warning. But it is honest. And honesty, I've learned, is the only ground a marriage can stand on. As for Nyla, I don't wish her harm. I wish her awareness. Because the worst punishment isn't exposure, it's living with the truth of who you chose to be. If you're listening to this and you're in a situation where your instincts are whispering to you, please don't ignore them. Don't gaslight yourself into silence. And don't confuse patience with permission. Let me ask you something, dear listener. If someone crossed a line in your family, would you protect the lie? Or would you protect yourself? If this story touched you, if it reminded you of your own strength or your own struggle, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to hear more real stories about family, betrayal, and the quiet power of choosing yourself, subscribe and stay with me. You're not alone. And your dignity is always worth defending.